Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you all are having a great one. We are fast approaching that time of year, Christmas, when you have to leave a burger out for Bernie and
Oh,
whatever it is that Marimea Cushionata eats.
wow. Okay, the burger,
the,
never thought about that one. That just makes me
yeah, I don't
sad.
know. I didn't think that one through myself. Welcome to Midnight Hatter Live, the weekly variety show where we talk Gundam, gaming, and Gunpla. I am Steven, aka Midnight Hatter, your host, and joining me as always is the Blue Gamer Gundam Explainer, Adam Blue. How are you, man?
Hey, doing good. Yeah, glad, we get to do one of these more chiller type streams. I think last week was our, year in Gundam extravaganza, you know? So, that was a lot of, planning and, talking about certain things, and that was a lot of fun, but this is nice. This is nice.
Yeah, and then you followed it up on Monday with another episode of G Watch
Oh, yeah.
featuring Ash and Ian, which was awesome because it was kind of like, obviously you have to listen to whatever I say every week, but it's rare that we get to get a little bit of feedback from our fellow Patreon members and
Yeah.
supporters and hear what they thought of the things that came out this year because it was a really big year in Gundam. If we go back at it and just kind of consider everything that came out and everything that was announced, there's a lot of
Yeah.
potential big Gundam things on the horizon for us. So it's just a
Yeah.
really exciting time. And I hate I hate the meme like, oh, Gundam fans are eating good this year, but it's like it's true. We are.
Yeah, no, seriously, and it's funny how, with Freedom, coming out at the beginning of the year, it's, slowly getting me, this week I built the mobile suit ensemble of the, Mighty Strike, and then today I just need to put the decals on, but I finished that, master grade SD clear color.
And that's a pretty cool one. Like you said, that's not one that I would typically go for just because I don't like clear kits and then,
And SD,
it
there's a lot of
it
reasons.
it's like strikeout, right? It's seed, it's SD, and it's clear. It's
I
like
know.
there's nothing going for it, and yet it still looks fantastic. So
Yeah, it was something about just seeing it in person. Yeah, smell the cat. But no, there's something about seeing it in person when I was at the Gundam base where I was like, "Whoa, okay, that actually looks cool in person." Like having the clear. Yeah, I'll probably do a video on that once I finish putting the decals on it and everything.
and there are fun things you can do, like, for it doesn't make sense to me to have, like, a high grade clear version, but a master grade, you can do some really interesting stuff, and I think we've talked about this before where, typically, I'm not the kind of guy that will customize inner frames because I don't typically show off inner frames. I'm not
Right.
one of those people that, um I think the it's a build group like Mandiza or Mandiza, something like that, but their claim to fame is that they always do the perfect grade open hatch, like,
Oh, yeah.
displays, right? So and I love that perfect grade Zeta. It's, like, beautifully shaded and painted and everything, and then it's, like, the open hatch version, so, like, all of the panels are open, and I think you've probably seen the Mark II, and the Mark II looks
Yeah.
fantastic too with, like, the chest vents are opened up and you get to see all the panels and stuff.
Ne
It looks cool, but it's definitely not something that, like, I do for my own display purposes, and so then for me, when it comes to, like, customizing the inner frame, it doesn't make a lot of sense because 'cause you're never gonna see it. But that said, if you get a clear kit, you can do some awesome stuff with inner
Yeah.
frames.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, even coloring the parts or, inside the gold and silver in certain areas, but, what would be cool with something like that is if you're able to build it in such a way where you made it where you could remove the armor and put it on with ease, or, have it where part of the display has almost like the acrylic, see-through, but, white lines that are, pointing like this is the cockpit or whatever, you
Dude,
know?
that would be awesome.
Yeah, that
Especially if you could find, like, if it is one of the kits that comes in, like, standard color and clear color, and you build half and half,
Oh,
so that
wow.
then you have, like, the outside, and then you can see into the inside. I've seen that done a couple of times really well, so
Yeah,
that's
that's a
pretty
cool
cool.
idea, actually. Yeah, because what's interesting about this, the Master Grade SD Clear Color is the instructions, not the box, the instructions are of the standard version. Nothing
Yeah.
on the instructions or the manual is about it being clear. So it's like all the pieces are the same. So you could interchange certain parts of it, and that would actually be pretty neat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been discovering a lot of, those types of things with model kits lately. I think I definitely posted it on Discord. I might have shared it on Instagram as well. But like, I've been working on. So I didn't even mention this last week. Last Friday, I actually got a chance to go out to the local build night, with RVA Gunpla at the flagship hobby store. Now, I didn't wanna torture them with, like, all the resin dust and all the stuff, like, from one of my crazy customizations, so I was like, "I'm just gonna do, like, a straight build out there," and so I brought with
Oh,
me the, P Bandai Selma custom, ground
okay.
type well, surface type Zaku from Kukuru's Doan's Island, and, what I was noticing is that, like, the origin kits are all super interchangeable. Like, they all come with the exact same neck joint, the exact same, like, shoulder,
Oh,
like,
okay.
whatever that collarbone joint is.
Yeah.
Like, the origin Zaku's are basically all built the same. And then on top of that, they all come with an insane number of extra parts. So, for instance, I have both the Char's Zaku 1 and Char's Zaku 2 from the Origin set, and they both come with, like, all of the spare parts to make the standard Zaku's. And
Hmm.
so that said, you could make a really kick-ass Origin custom, uh Solari custom, like, Red Wolf Zaku, because you can
Right.
take the red shoulder from Char's Zaku 1, and it becomes, like, the same as the red shoulder, especially, like so I've got that Selma Zaku, and then I'm also building the desert type, the half cannon Zaku, from the Origin,
Ooh.
and both of them, again, it's all interchangeable parts, and so
Huh.
it's like I might not even use the backpack that came with the desert type Zaku because it's like I just kinda want it to be standard. Well, as it turns out, the Zaku 1, the Char custom one, comes with 2 backpacks. It comes with one that has the slots for the, like, undermounted machine gun, and then one that's just like a standard Zaku 2 backpack. So it's like all of these different parts that you can interswap and things. And so, yeah, I'm learning that there's a lot of stuff that you can do with that. And we're definitely gonna talk about some of that today because I've got some, custom printed parts that I made that I think
Oh,
I think this is something that, once I perfect the design, this might be something that I just throw up for free on Thingiverse because I think that it would fit in with a lot of the stuff that, Gunpla related that's on Thingiverse.
yeah.
So I'm excited to share that with you guys because it's something that I'm surprised isn't up there already, but I think that a lot of people will get some use out of.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I gotta go back and look at the origin kits I had because now that you're saying that, it could be cool. Like when I was talking about before, making more kits have interchangeable parts for customizing. Maybe they have existed and we just haven't really realized, especially with origin stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons that I do like when they have, loose sort of, uh, reprints of kits. So, like, for instance, that Char Zaku is just like a custom version of the existing Origin Zaku.
Mhm.
The Turn A Shin Gundam comes with all of the parts to just make the regular Turn A Gundam.
Wow.
The Build Gundam Mark II, which, l I'm gonna s I'll go to my grave saying this, that the Build Gundam Mark II is the definitive Gundam Mark II, because I don't think it's technically the revived version,
Mhm.
but it's compatible with all of the accessories. You can plug like, it's got the joint on the back that you can use to plug in the, G Defensor, so you can make it into the Super Gundam. The colors on it are a little punchier than the colors on the standard high grade, Gundam Mark II. It comes with all of the so, like, if you've seen Gundam Build Fighters, you know that it has a different chest piece and, like, a different V-fin,
Right.
but it comes with the standard V-fin that the Gundam
Wow.
Mark II does. So, I
Okay.
mean, it comes with everything you need to make Sammy, you are just being
Yeah, that cat wants to be on the show
he
or
is
just it's like, "No, no attention. Give it to me."
yeah, he wants to be the star here. So yeah, the Build Gundam Mark II comes with everything that you need to make the Gundam Mark II, plus 2 extra beam rifles because they're like shoulder mounted or forearm mounted beam rifles. The only thing that it's missing, I think, is like the hyper bazooka.
Yeah. which yeah,
which,
that'd be
I
good.
mean, and so then you have, like, all of these spare parts that you can do fun stuff with, and I know, the chat's gonna blow up and say, like, "What about 30-minute missions? Like, you can do all this stuff with 30-minute missions." Like,
But yeah, there's that aesthetic that, it's not Gundam, even
yeah,
though it's still cool and you can make it do things that look like it. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, I keep thinking about that kit. Like I'll see it sometimes and be like, oh, I should pick this up. And I don't know if it's easy to get. I'll just see it sometimes online, but
I think
I
it's a
need to get
little
it.
pricey. So I always mix up which Build Fighters kits are super pricey because I remember, last week we were talking about the Lightning Zeta, which is an awesome Zeta Gundam. Obviously it doesn't have the ability to transform, but like, it's got the coolest looking shoulders. It's got like it basically has double Zeta legs, which is cool.
Mm,
It's a little bit taller than the standard Zeta. It looks a little bit more imposing. So there's a lot of stuff to like about that. But yeah, that one I thought was, like, super expensive, but it turns out it's, like, 26 bucks. The Build Gundam Mark II, I don't know how much that one is, but I do know that they actually made a master grade version of it too, so that's how good this kit is that
really?
yeah,
A master
which
grade build Gundam Mark II.
a
Wow.
master grade Build Fighters Gundam, like, can you believe that?
Yeah, I mean, and I was just, thinking how, that SD is master grade. It's like, wow, so more master grades do get made, but now they're kind of smaller technically, It's like a way to get around that. Because I wonder if that's just what it is at the end of the day, just the cost of
Yeah, yeah,
making a
well,
master
so,
grade.
our mutual friend, Taco and Yoshi actually posted over on the Discord server earlier that, there's another Gundam YouTuber that, dropped the news that they are building a new Gunpla factory.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
so they are expanding production. I don't know, I hate to speculate on that kinda stuff because, I'll be honest with you, sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean that we're getting more of the thing. It might mean that we're getting the thing cheaper sometimes,
Yeah.
because, like, having worked in manufacturing and especially overseas manufacturing, one of the things that we did in the past was, like, we would just move manufacturing from one country to another to save on, like, tariffs. So
Yeah.
for those of you who are like, "Oh, no, Gunpla are gonna go up because of, tariffs that are being enforced in the US." It's like, first of all, I doubt that any of that's gonna hit us. Second of all, maybe the reason that they're actually offshoring some of their and this again, I say I hate speculating, and here I am speculating. Um, the reason they might want to, offshore some of their production is to get around that, is that they can ship to the United States and dodge the tariffs. So
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, especially if the announcement was made, yeah, recently. But
mhm.
dude, I just looked up this master grade uh Build Fighters Mark II, and oh my gosh, I got to get it. So what's cool about it is it looks like most of it looks like the Master Grade 2.0, which is an
Yeah.
awesome kit. But yeah, the chest is a little different. The head, it's got some awesome binders going on and guns on it. Man, I'm glad you told me about that.
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
look it up.
And if it's anything like the high grade, then I assume that it comes with the same parts. It might be worth hitting up, delong.net and seeing what the runners look like to make sure
Hmm,
that, it comes with the standard, Mark II parts.
okay, yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Man, there's always so
And maybe
many.
if you're a good boy, I'll get it for you for Christmas, I don't know.
Oh, no. But it's just crazy how often we talk about, oh my gosh, now what am I seeing? No, we talk about kits to get now there's a full armor version.
Look at that. We just so, let me go ahead and I will, fire up a screen share so that we can show some of this stuff off because I feel like, the chat is missing out on the beauty of the MG, Gundam Mark II.
Wow. Wait, and this okay, so this is actually the regular Mark II, but I didn't
Oh,
know this existed. This full armor, Mark II, uh, master grade. It's insane.
that's awesome.
Um,
Let me see here. Let's grab a
but yeah,
little
there's always kits and you know what I gotta say, I think I opened my horizons by getting these freedom kits. I think I
Yeah,
did.
it changes it changes you.
It
It definitely does.
okay. Um, yeah. So there you go. Yeah, I see what you've got up. Yeah, someone reviewing. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
let me
you know
see
what?
if I
That's the one where it has the good fingers, the good, articulated fingers.
yeah, the so that's something that has come up recently is like, okay, perfect, so that looks good. Let me hop out of so yeah, this is Gunpla 101 and their review of the, Build Gundam Mark II. And you're right, it does have, like, articulated fingers compared to, what you and then it's so interesting because, I have a bunch of, like, the older, master grades. I don't really collect master grades now, I used to, until I saw the light, I guess, and decided that I didn't wanna be one of the master grade elite. Um,
It's a
but,
tough decision because, like, it's just the master grades take up a lot of space, but the high grades, you can do more because there's more to choose from. Yeah, it's hard to
oh,
figure
here
out.
we go. It's on Amazon for 110. That's actually not bad considering that it's like an out of print kit.
Yeah, let's see. Where did I see it? I want there's this place called, who knows if it's legit because I've never heard of it, 1001 Hobbies.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know if
can't
you've
say
heard
I've
of
heard of
that.
that one.
Yeah, when I haven't heard of the store, I'm kinda like, "Yeah, but it's 62 there." That's
Okay,
why it's
so that's
like
not bad. Well,
if
but I
that's
wonder how much
legit.
shipping is.
That's right, yeah, it
That's
doesn't
always
s yeah, it
so
doesn't
let's
have
try
I'm gonna save this link just in case I'm gonna check it out later.
just
Oh,
bookmark
wait a
that
minute,
earlier.
it's a pre-order, you know how that goes.
Ugh,
They're just
yeah,
trying to get me to spend money.
yeah, you know it. So let me see here. If we find build okay, so there is a master grade build Strike Gundam, but the Build Gundam Mark II. So let's just make sure that it does come with the parts necessary to make the standard Mark II. Because, like I said, if the high grade does, then come on, the
Yeah,
master
because
grade has to.
it would just have to be chest parts and the head, um, and that's not
Yeah,
too much.
it's just that second V fin, which look at this. Booyah. There you
Oh,
go. That's
wow.
two V fins. Two V fins right there. Suck it. No, no, I don't
No, that is something.
So yeah, so that's awesome. And, again, you get those awesome, like, wing binders, and I think what's hilarious is I actually have the high grade version of those wing binders was just sitting on my desk
Oh,
randomly. It because, like you said, they're excellent, like, little parts if you wanted to throw something together and like, "Okay, maybe I've got something I can kind of kit bash and make something."
yeah. Um, so what's, Daban, Daban? Is that supposed to be some third party thing?
Yes, Daban
Oh,
is a, bootleg,
ah,
yeah.
because now I'm seeing that there's a master grade, Super Gundam, but Daban, and it's like, "Whoa, this, yeah." Okay.
Well, it's funny, and, we can go down the rabbit hole of, wow, okay. I'm sure you're seeing some weird stuff coming up on my screen right now, Adam. I promise that I was not searching for whatever that is.
No, hey, the hobby, that we have
No
is very
judge.
varied, you know? Hey, I was, building
Yeah,
those,
we
waifus, and I'm wanting to get that,
so
what is it? The Lunamaria pilot figurize.
oh, yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and people have already made, like, custom parts for that where, it's, like, flesh toned instead of her shirt and all that stuff, and then
I
it's,
already
like,
have those, don't worry.
silicone.
Yeah, I got them for the
So,
I know it seems weird, I got them for the Soletta and Mjolnir, but it just seems so cool. It's
I mean, why
there's
wouldn't
something
you?
about it
Like, y
that it's
to
not
me, it
creepy.
no,
It's
it's not. It's the same as buying, like, a resin conversion kit for your master grades.
exactly, it's the same thing. There you go.
It's exactly the same. So, on the subject of Debon, like, bootleg kits is, over on AliExpress, you can find, like, the Debon, what they call the Zeta Fighter, which is basically the Zeta 2.0 master grade. But if you look closely at it, and I don't know if I can get any of the good images to show up large enough for us, I might just have to, like, the detail on it is
It's
better
different.
than the
Yeah.
Bandai one.
So it's a complete different sculpt and everything or mold or whatever you
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, like, the panel lines on this
yeah.
thing, it is crazy,
Looks
like,
like Moon Gundam Zeta.
that is a perfect analogy. Even the colors look, like, slightly purplish, kinda like,
Yeah.
everything from the Moon Gundam. And then, yeah, like, if you look at this one, I think this one's painted because there's no way that it's that purple.
I don't know. I mean, because yeah, maybe
Could be.
because even the way that it's a little bit of an orange and that yellow, I really like when it has that look.
Yeah,
Um,
so do I. But yeah, so, you know, now again, wash your runners if you do buy this.
oh,
This is neither me endorsing nor, condoning, the purchase of bootleg kits.
right, right.
But,
It's
like,
just informational.
honestly, when it comes to something like this, it's worth looking into, if only because this is clearly a different mold. If it were like a straight up bootleg, which, you
Right.
see with, like, some of, like, the GM Spartan and things like that, this to me feels more like third party and not bootleg, as opposed
Exactly.
to 'cause, like, I know that, most of the, people that kind of run in the same circles as us, they wouldn't consider something like the Monument repair type that just came out, which is, not Tall Geese. Most people don't consider that bootleg, they call that third party. So it's like, what's the difference? Is it only because it costs $300? That's what makes it third party? Like, to me, it's third party if it's a
It's
totally different sculpt, right?
right. It's like someone wanting to deliver something that doesn't exist, you know? Like,
Yeah.
you could easily be so into the hobby, get a Zeta and be like, "I don't really like how this looks," and then make your own because Bandai won't make it or whatever. Even though that's more up to interpretation, but I think we talked about this before because it's like where isn't it where Hasbro has multiple companies making GI Joes and Power Rangers? It's like
I
I
think they
think
do, yeah.
yeah, it's like Bandai could probably, work with another company that is model kits to be like, "Yeah, we'll give you these certain mobile suits from our brand that will allow you and approve you to make model kits of." I think that would be a neat idea.
Well, and especially if one of the things that, like, the third party Transformers, toy manufacturers have to do is that they cannot use any licensed properties, right? So they can't do Autobot and Decepticon logos, which is funny because then it's like you can go and buy fan-made decals that have
Yeah,
Autobot and
I go on
Decepticon
it.
logos. So it's like you buy a third party toy and then you buy third party decals and you can put them together, but selling them together, that's a no-no. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
I hey, what is that one, that second picture where it has 2, the one on the right?
Oh, sure. Let me pull this back up for
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
No, no, you are all good,
because at
sir.
first I got G Savior vibes. I'm like, "Wait a minute, maybe that's not," but
It is, the Gundam X.
oh, okay. I could see
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I guess the shoulders oh, no,
it's
not that
got
one.
the oh, you mean
Yeah.
like the one that's, like, literally right next to
Although I
the
think
Zeta?
that is the same thing though, once you said that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's got, like, the
okay.
satellite cannons, but it
That does
does
look
give
cool
off the
though.
G-Savior vibe.
Yeah, no, it does, especially the shoulders, but I actually like the way that looks there. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
pretty cool.
it's and again, I haven't seen the master grade, double X, but, like, I'm fairly confident that that is not what it looks like.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I agree.
and then, of course, yeah, I mean, you've got, like, the gray Zeta here. This is obviously one I think this actually was released as a P Bandai, but, again, this
Mm.
one I think is a totally unique mold compared to the Bandai one.
Yeah, that is very neat. Wow.
Now, one thing I would advise about is that when you are buying these types of kits, and this is something I've been doing a little bit of research on lately, there are actually, I would say, some advantages and some disadvantages to the materials because, obviously I've um I've shared with you guys like my experience with trying to recycle plastic and, just kind of doing research on different plastic types and what can be recycled, what can't. And one of the things that I've come across is like, well, one of the reasons that people are having issues with, like with third party kits causing skin irritation and stuff like that is that, it's literally the same runners as like the Bandai ones, but they are ABS instead of polystyrene, which polystyrene is a pretty toxic plastic, but ABS is more toxic than than polystyrene. The
Hmm.
other thing about it, and I only discovered this from watching one of Steb Gunpla's videos. Shout out to Steb. Obviously, we mentioned him on,
Yeah.
last week. He had that video about how to paint ABS plastic because a lot of people have ruined their ABS kits, which even Kotobukiya, like that Geno breaker, that has a ton of ABS parts. Um, but the thing is when you're painting ABS parts, ABS is very sensitive to solvent-based paints or even like panel line fluid. And so you can
Oh,
actually like melt and destroy your kit if you paint using, anything like lacquer paints. Um,
wow.
so very important stuff to know because obviously if you if you go into it treating it the same as the plastic that you're getting from like a Bandai Gunpla, you're going to be disappointed. Now, the advantages of that are that because it is very it's very subject to solvents is that
Yeah.
makes uh your liquid cement
Oh.
twice as effective because now you don't have to use as much of this stuff to melt the plastic to bond your seam lines together. So ABS, removing seam lines is cake because
Well, is,
yeah,
plot plate ABS plastic?
I think that's polystyrene.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering if maybe there's materials, yeah, then you would wanna work with to, like, create, than using ABS, but I guess so why would a manufacturer use polystyrene over ABS? Is it because it's safer?
Probably, yeah, higher quality, it's higher density, so, like, it's, not as fragile. One of the things that, and this goes to kind of, like, other stuff is, like, one of my buddies is an HVAC technician, and he was talking about, like, we actually have ABS pipe in in our condensation line from our air conditioning unit, which is what they used to use because it's cheap, but, again, it's weak to solvents, and it cracks very easily, and so, you know, typically what they do now is they use PVC because PVC is much more rigid, it's much more, stable. And so he was like, if your ABS isn't cracked now, let's not mess with it. But if it does crack in the future, we should just rip it all out and do PVC. Um,
Hmm.
so interesting things to note. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how much building a model kit can translate to maybe construction, home, house repair, all that stuff.
Yeah, if you're creative enough, you can make it sound like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, no, that's funny. That's funny.
But, speaking of knowing what you're doing, I cannot wait to show you guys the things that I've been working on here. Obviously, we're coming up to the end of the month, which means I need to get my butt in gear if I'm gonna have the month's, creator spotlight, project finish, which again, maybe I kind of had a little head start, but I'll let you guys be the judge. And speaking of which, so tonight is definitely like the penultimate show of the year. Of course, next week, today would be Christmas. So let me know down in the chat
Oh,
if you
yeah.
guys would prefer to have, the show, I don't know, on Boxing Day or like whatever the case may be. If you want, we can do a Christmas show, but I don't think that you guys are gonna want to hang out with me on Christmas. I'm just
Yeah, I'm wondering because even up in the air with that.
yeah.
'Cause yeah, I know we have plans, but nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, we're gonna be in town, so, like, I'll be
yeah,
here,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but yeah, let me know what you guys think because I would be interested to know, like, what your guys' plans are and if you would be down to hang out and maybe work on some Gunpla. So tonight's video is or tonight's stream, I should say, is partly sponsored by Lola PC.
Oh,
I
cool.
shared a couple of these things on, on the Discord and everything, but I think that, I'm definitely getting into some more exciting stuff, and I'm really excited to share it with you, and I think Adam's gonna be excited as well. So,
Oh, yeah.
definitely watch his side of the screen so that you can see his reaction to some of this stuff. Let me pull up the camera here and make sure that I've got a good angle here. So, as you guys know, I started working on this piece a while ago. This is a we're basically giving a glow up to this old V8, and we also have the Mercurius, but this is the no grade 1 to 1/44th scale kit. The first thing that we did was we, carved out the faceplate and replaced the, painted on sticker of a mono eye with a multicolor. Oh, well, we replaced the entire head with
Yeah.
no, we replaced it with a multicolor RGB, LED that is controlled via these, wires that connect to our little programming board here. All well and good, this stuff's pretty cool, and we are taking it, one step further by we've got the beam rifle here, which I did some cool stuff with this. I actually put a piece of packing tape over each of these holes that I carved out of the gun and poured some UV resin inside them and then cured it to create these, like, basically like little windows, right? And so we're
Huh.
gonna take another one of these multicolor LEDs and install it probably right around here in the barrel of the gun. Let me see if I've got some tweezers handy so that I can use that instead of my big old toe thumbs. We're going to be installing the light basically right about here in the barrel of the gun. And we are going to basically run wires down through and out the back of the gun so that we can control the color of this LED. It's mostly just going to shine in yellow, but it's going to light up this entire section of windows, and then maybe we'll seal this part off with, UV resin as well once we seal the entire thing up. But yeah, so that's gonna be really cool because basically, we're gonna have the beam cannon is wired up with LEDs, the head is wired up with LEDs, and then I actually have a new version of the backpack unit that we made. So the previous one is this guy, which let me see if I can do I have a battery pack handy? I sure do. So the whole thing is gonna be powered by one of these LiPo batteries, and I'm sure I've showed this on stream before, but, just to
Yeah.
re-illustrate to you guys what this does, we've got the whole thing gets powered up. This is done using one color of LEDs, but I'll be honest with you, I don't like that there's so many hot spots, like, the light doesn't get
Oh.
diffused enough for my taste.
And what does that do to just it being kind of a custom built sort of
Yeah, I just didn't do a
thing?
very good job sealing it up or finding a good way to diffuse the light, and so, like, you can see each of the individual lights, and I don't you know,
Hmm.
that's just a bad job on my part. So I do have another one of these curing in the mold that I made for
Oh,
it. So, thank you, Silinot, for, making it possible to make infinite molds. I can make another one of those, and we are actually gonna wire that one up with, oh, that is actually just a piece of plastic, isn't it? It looks like one of the lights, but it's actually just a piece of pla plate.
well,
Well, crap, I hope I didn't throw away the actual light. Um, no, it's right here.
you'll find it. Oh, yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. They're
Um,
always somewhere.
so we've got another one of these RGB lights, and that is gonna go in the backpack. Actually, to be honest with you, I have quite a few of these, RGB
Oh, yeah,
lights. In fact, it's a strip of about 100 of them. So so the good news is I won't run out before Christmas.
that's cool.
And so basically we're gonna be able to wire up this guy with multicolored lights, and so then we can control the color of that. We can switch it from, like, yellow, like, as it's heating up to then it goes to, like, that bluish purple that you see in the show. And so the idea, and this is all reflective of the theme of this month's creator spotlight, is echo. So this is the we're going to make the mobile doll unit of the V8, the one that is, controlled by AI, and it was programmed using the fight data of Troa Barton. So, it is an echo
Mm.
of the Gundam pilot, which I think is gonna be nicely reflected here. And so one of the things that we're gonna be able to do is I can control all of these lights via an app. So I'm gonna be able to say, activate beam cannon, the lights on the back will turn on. Fire beam cannon, this is gonna light up. And then when it comes to doing that little red flicker whenever the AI kicks in, we'll be able to do that on command. So I'm really excited. All of that is going to be controlled by this tiny little microcontroller. Can you believe that?
That that's crazy. So, could this is there anything that keeps this from being maybe an entry for GPWC?
That's a good question. I don't know. I would have to talk to like nickel models
Yeah,
from RVA Gunpla or maybe some of the guys from the Undergated podcast. I know that they would be knowledgeable about this kind of stuff. I'm not using anything that is like third party, like I'm not using any
right.
Kotobukiya parts or anything like that. So it is all authentic Bandai kit. It's just all of the lights are homemade. So
And because there's a lot of neat things about it. One, it being, the older kit, you know,
right, yeah, I'm
and
stealing
then
from Pixelli's book on that one,
well,
aren't I?
yeah, I mean, that's one neat thing about it, but also then kind of doing the electronics to it, which I think is really cool, and the story you have for it. I think it all yeah,
Thank you.
makes it a
Yeah,
full
no,
package.
it's something I'm pretty proud of too, and
Yeah,
so basically, once we get that one settled, then I will, add in the Mercurius, and we'll be able to control both of them from one of these little boards. But let's say we needed more horsepower. What would you do if we needed something that was a little bit more powerful than just this little ESP32? Well, for that, we might use something like this, which is a Raspberry Pi Zero. This is a 1 gigabyte RAM version, so it's actually on the less powerful side. And I'll be 100% honest with you guys, it's actually an Orange Pi Zero, not a Raspberry
oh,
Pi, because your boy here is cheap, and I went with the open source version as opposed to the official Raspberry Pi. We do have a little 16 gigabyte storage card in here, like the SD card. So we can load this guy up with a lot of cool stuff. This came as a suggestion from the folks over at Lola PC because, obviously I don't have a PC, but Lola PC app runs on a Raspberry Pi. So I am going to flash their app onto this device and then use it to connect to other PCs and use the cloud computing power that they offer.
so even with 1 gigabyte.
Even with 1 gigabyte, we are going to be able to, and I've done a few preliminary tests to make sure that that this is groovy, and I am making, like, full-on tutorial videos for how to do this for yourselves, but, yeah, with just 1 gigabyte of RAM, we don't actually even need 16, like, this is overkill as far as, like, onboard storage, but, you know,
'Cause
we're
it's
gonna
just
be able to.
how big the app would be, essentially.
Yeah, essentially, so and then everything else, we're gonna be storing on the cloud PC and then streaming to this it with, low latency. So,
That is neat.
and all it's got is the HDMI port out for the video, and then a couple of USB-C port or correct me if I'm wrong, is this USB-C or USB 3?
I can't really tell, but I wanna say it is USB 3, but I think it's USB-C as the connector.
See, that's I hear it
You know what I
both
mean?
ways, so I never know exactly what I'm
Okay.
talking about.
Yeah. No, I think it has something to do with I don't know.
So, suffice to say, I am excited about this, and then, of course, because we have all of these pinouts, I think it's 32, maybe it's even 64 pinouts here, but, we have all of these pinouts, we are actually going to be able to wire this guy up to control Gunpla lights the same way as our microcontroller, and then we can actually run beefier software on this than on that, because this only has, like, I don't know, 512 megabytes of data to run apps on. So, like, even though the microcontroller is pretty powerful, the app that you develop can't be very big. Whereas this, we can flash any kind of program on this sucker.
And it's
Um,
because it's Linux, right?
yeah,
And you're just running they have a Linux app, Lola PC, and you're just running it on there. That's neat because it's almost like then you could be on any device really and log into your Gunpla, I guess, as it's wired up too.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
exactly.
Interesting.
So now me being me and me being a little extra, you know, am I gonna just set my Gundam on top of this and call it good? No, no. What we did was we went ahead and designed a 3D printed shell for our Raspberry Pi. This is a base jabber from I guess
Wow.
this is the Zeta Gundam version of the base jabber. And it has so I'm particularly proud of this, is so for cooling purposes, typically you would have this punch out that you can put, knock out this hole and do that. But I actually designed it so that the vents on the bottom of the base jabber are the vents for cooling the Raspberry Pi.
Wow. That's
Um, and so it sits in the, case upside down. Actually, I need to remove the SD card if we're gonna pop it in because and it does have the slot for the SD card to
oh,
go in on the side.
wow. Wow.
Um, so now I did do a bit of an oopsie. My printer prints things typically a little thicker than the model, so I do need to make some edits to the model. We're actually gonna do some of these edits if we have some time. I might just do them here on stream. But basically, the Raspberry Pi sits in there like that, and then we've got this little cap that sits on the top of it and will plug in to lock it in place. And then you've got a base jabber that is actually a computer.
Wow. That is yeah, my mind's going crazy now thinking of all the possibilities.
Right?
But
I
that's
I
neat how quickly you just came up with this, because you
you
just
know
started recently doing the Lola PC stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I only got into like, really heavily got into it last week because I didn't have the hardware to really
Yeah.
take advantage of it. But with this and with, there's a couple of other devices that I'm gonna be, firing up the Lola PC app on, we're gonna be able to do some really cool stuff, and, and I'm actually gonna be able to play some GBO too, so
Oh, okay, see, that would be neat. I can't yeah, I'm we gotta check that out. But then I'm even thinking, like, just like it depending on what stand you could possibly make that then you have this built-in computer in it that then you could have it, yeah, do so much stuff for any type of diorama display, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, and I mean, even then, it's like, if you compare the number of pinouts that we're looking at, like, this can only control, what, maybe like a max of 8 to 10 devices because it's got so few, pinouts,
Mhm,
but this, the GPIO pins, it's got enough that we could control a lot of different things, um, so that's pretty cool.
yeah.
But, in preparation for doing a lot of this, I've been checking out, the YouTuber Zach Builds. Have you, ever seen any of his stuff, Adam? I'm sure I've shared
Yeah, I
stuff
think
of his.
yeah, you have shown me, yeah.
So, I've been inspired by some of the stuff that he's done, particularly around, like, retro gaming PCs. One of the things that he did was he actually turned one of these Raspberry Pis into a retro gaming, like, device by installing it's called RetroPie, um, which is just for running, like, retro game emulators on a
Oh,
Raspberry Pi,
yeah, you
and
know what? I
he
have
wrote
one that, was built maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but it's
Oh,
gotten to the
really?
point where, like, the latest software now you could do it vanilla, but the latest software requires a newer Raspberry Pi, which
Oh,
is
gotcha.
yeah, because it's just so slow. But so it's kind of it's interesting that the front end developers will just add more knowing newer versions of the Pi come out, where I feel like the whole point of it is to keep it so you can run it on anything, you know? But that's
Right,
another
yeah, you do wanna strike a balance, right? So it's
yeah,
like, you want it to be kind of future proofed, but then you also want it to be lean, like, the whole point of having a single board computer like a Raspberry Pi is that it's lean, like, because anybody can just build, a $2,500 PC that can run anything, right?
yeah,
The whole point of having something small like this is to be able to do neat little things with it.
right.
Um, but again, I think that that's where something like the Lola PC app future proofs something like this. Because then if we offload the emulation side of things from the Raspberry Pi to the cloud PC, then it doesn't matter what, like, so one of the things that Zach Builds did was he made, like, that retro, it's like the Anything console, and I think his Anything console Mark II goes all the way up to, like, Xbox and PS2,
Wow.
emulators, which is insane. Like, you're talking about
Yeah.
from NES all the way through all of the systems and handhelds of the '90s, all the way through, like, what is that, like, Gen 3 systems. Um, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But then if you were to take this and stream your emulators from a cloud PC, you could run anything you want, like, literally any.
You know what? You've helped me almost solve an issue I have where I've been trying to come up with a way to sync save states across emulators and ROMs, like if I'm playing on different ones. And I have to use like programs that look at the network and sync, and sometimes they mess up. But if it's just one source the
Yeah,
whole time, you don't have to worry about that. So
and then you just stream it to whatever
w-
device you're on, which
yeah,
I
if you want to be on a portable, like I have the Android, with the grip controller, or if I just want to be on my PC, yeah, that's
what does, so for instance, like, what does the ROG Ally run on?
so that's Windows. And so what I'll do is I'll use like RetroArch or whatever, and
Yeah.
then I was using a program called Sync Thing. It's the only one that I could find that does this, where I can target a folder or directory, and then just by IP address across all my different devices, I could say, "Hey, sync these folders." But you can't rely on it. And I've even by now, people still reply to some of my Reddit threads where I'm saying, "Hey, this doesn't really work." And people are agreeing, yeah, you can't really rely on sync thing all the time. And I don't know if it just has to do with because I'm doing it across Android, Windows, Linux, because I have the Linux handhelds and all that. So,
Right, because
but
the Steam Deck is Linux, isn't it?
yeah, and actually, it would work. I think it would work on there too. But that's one interesting thing that I feel like if you use Emulation Station as your front end, for instance, which I would think would be the idea with the Lola PC, cloud PC that you would probably have the ROMs, the emulators, and then use Emulation Station as the front end. And then there you wouldn't have to worry about saves, but I would think Emulation Station would have a built-in save thing. But
Well, but
knowing
if you're streaming the PC to your device, then you would never have any local data anyway.
Yeah, and that would
So
be perfect. You wouldn't have to worry about losing that data because how often are you playing a one-off ROM on one computer one day, and then, like, in the future, you kinda wished you could return your progress, but it's just because you wanted to play that game, at that point. A lot of people don't think about saving their progress, you know?
no, no, absolutely. I mean, I know I don't, and,
Yeah.
you know, even just, like, not even just for gaming, but, like, I have 3D models that I'm working on my desktop that, like, I have to then, like, Google drop to myself on my laptop just to finish, like, later.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I was trimming down those posts because, like I said, I did an oopsie and, like, my 3D printer typically prints things a little bit thicker than what I measure them at. So I am gonna fix that in the final model, which, little slight self plug, but this model is gonna be available, for Patreon members starting January 1st. Actually, I'll
Cool.
spill the beans early for you guys. It's going to be this model plus a 1 to 1/44th scale, saberfish,
Yeah.
and another thing that I'm about to show you guys as well. So it's
Uh-oh.
gonna be a big month starting the 1st of 2025, for the Patreon folks, um, at least if you're into this sort of thing. So that was one of the things is I was like, not everybody's gonna want this shell, so
Mhm.
that's why I was like, "Okay, we'll throw in the saberfish and some of these other parts as well." Um, but yeah, and this is 1 to 1/44th scale, by the way, too, so it's like, you can stand your Gunpla on this and have a built-in computer, which
Yeah,
is so cool.
that is.
So let
Yeah.
me make sure that this guy fits in here now that we've trimmed down those pegs. And it does. Again, it's just that the pegs are too thick, and so it sits on top of them. But if you look where I've cut the pegs down, you can actually see where the
IO ports
HDMI
are.
port and the 2 USBs slot in. So
Wow.
this is, dude, like I said, this is so awesome to me, building something like this.
Yeah, that is awesome. Like,
Um, so yeah, I just need to fix the standoffs so that they actually will fit the device. Obviously, the size of it is right, but it's just the standoffs are too thick to fit in the posts, which is fine.
but
So
and let me ask you,
yeah.
because I'm always thinking resin printer's the way to go. Would you rather have printed that with the filament, or do you think this is best for resin?
Um, I think I would stick with resin on this for one very important reason, is for heat. Um,
Oh, okay.
if we were to do a filament print on this, there are certain filaments that are a little bit more heat resistant,
Mhm.
but I'm expecting that this little CPU is gonna get hot, and I don't have, like, a fan built into this or anything, so,
Yeah.
like, you know yeah, that
Oh,
there I would say
resin's better for heat?
yeah, because it's gonna be heat resistant.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, I'm telling you, another reason why I need to get a resin printer.
But you know what? What's crazy is, like, you know, it's almost inverse as far as, like, Gunpla applications. Like, I hate printing Gunpla parts on the resin printer because they're so brittle, and, like, there's really not a great way around that.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, things that need to fit together and, like, constantly be taken apart and put together, resin's just not great for that. And even some of the like, this is actually the, Soraya Tech ABS-like, it's like their mecha resin, and even that is super brittle. So it's like, this is actually, like, super expensive resin to be printing something so ridiculously huge. Oh, and by the way, it comes with 2 fins to to
Oh, nice. There
expand.
we go.
Yeah, to
Now
complete the look.
yeah.
Um,
No, I think though I would wanna use quality resin for something like this, that's a
oh,
work
yeah.
of art right there, dude.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, so I'm really excited with this because yeah, I think that we are going to be able to do some fun stuff with the Gunpla, being able to control the Gunpla using the Raspberry Pi, and of course, like this is the dream is I am trying to create a device that we can stream GBO2 to and then control a Gunpla via the states in GBO2. Now there's some issues with the software compatibility. We'll get into that when I do like the full length video here next year. There's no way I'm going to get to it this week, but
Yeah.
there's some cool stuff in the future. Like I'm thinking when you turn on the exam mode in GBO2 that like your mono eye goes from green to red, or like when you take damage it'll flash red, or then like when you get shot down it'll power off and then power back on when the countdown timer comes so that you can relaunch.
Dude, that
Um
would be awesome.
Yeah, I think we can probably do it, honestly, because I think especially using a 16 gigabyte card, and that's why I got this larger card, is that the software to control the Gunpla is actually going to be a little bit beefier than what Lola is. So,
Okay.
but yeah, so that's the exciting stuff there. And then of course, if we can make a retro gaming console that's like in the shape of a Haro, or
Oh, yeah.
basically what I'm thinking, and I might have to reach out to the boys from Zeeg New York and Video Games New York about this. Is can you imagine a retro Gundam PC, basically like a retro Gundam console that is like a Haro shape? It's just a Raspberry Pi built into it that emulates all of the SNES games, the GameCube games, Rise from the Ashes on the Dreamcast. Like,
Oh, yeah, there's so many games. There's the arcade games, GBA.
oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I could imagine opening the Haro, and then you got the screen, and you're might be awkward to hold, but who cares? It's a Haro. No, I'm joking. No, there's something there. Yeah.
Right, it's not the GameCube, it's the Game Sphere.
Yeah.
Um, Barry here says in chat, heat rises, so you'd be better with topside vents. Yes, 100%. Actually, topside vents would make a lot more sense. But, you know, these are disguised.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo Gal asks, why use a Pi versus an Arduino? Well, the Pi is gonna be able to actually run software and be able to connect to the cloud PCs. The Arduino is awesome, but at the end of the day, the Arduino is just a microcontroller compared to, like, the Raspberry Pi, which is like a full-on computer. It's just smaller.
Right.
But that's not all we have been working on. So one of the other things and, like I said, we did start a little bit late, but I do wanna be respectful of everyone's time, especially you, Adam. I appreciate you hanging out
Oh, no
while we're
problem.
just kind of showing off all this goofy stuff that I've been working on. So this is something that I've been 3D printing for this, V8 project, which is technically just a polycap connector. So all it is just like a little rectangle with holes on the ends to hold polycaps. So like let's see
Hmm.
if I've got a handy dandy polycap we can use. Well, this one's a little bit bigger than we probably need to fit, but who knows? Maybe it'll actually be the right size. No, that one's a little too big. Um I know I've got a polycap around here somewhere. There we go.
We
So
all
this
do.
one's for a ball joint, but basically we have got a 3D printed sort of like container for one of these. And so on its own, it's not very impressive, right? But the
Mhm.
idea is that you could make like sub arms with these. And I'm
Oh,
surprised that
yeah.
this is not something that I've seen, readily available for 3D printers, in the Gunpla space is, just a polycap joint that has like slots for two polycaps. Um,
Yeah. That's
because
like those Lego pieces that you always want, you know?
yeah, no kidding, right? So it's basically just a 3D printed version of this thing. Um, and so I'm thinking like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna make a couple of different sizes of this, and it's not going to be, something that like fits together and you would have to fit it together and then glue it. But I mean, would you guys be interested in something like this? Like I think that currently the holes are a little too big. I gave a little bit too much space, like a little too much tolerance because I'm always panicking about tolerance and like, oh, my part's not gonna fit together. Um, so yeah, once I get this nailed down, this is gonna be something that I make just for Thingiverse basically
Yeah,
because
I think so. That's
because
super
like
cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's already polycap replacements and different sorts of accessory parts, but I think something like this would be super helpful to Gunpla builders, especially like I said, if you have spare polycaps, you can just build a sub arm out of like 5 or 6 of these and like have
Yeah, I know, like, have it make a snake.
yeah. Um, and honestly, the only reason I'm doing this is because, with the V8 that I'm working on, I've got some plot plate that I'm gonna be filling in these slots with. And this is actually how the backpack was mounted on, was underneath the armpit here. But once this is filled in
Oh.
with flop plate, I'm not gonna be able to have that joint there, so I was gonna put a little sub arm on the backside here.
Oh, neat.
Um, so yeah, that's really all it is. And then I
Wow.
also printed out some thrusters that I designed that'll go underneath the skirts here, just because that
Wow.
looks dumb. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's just like naked space there, so we're
No,
gonna put
yeah, it needs
thrusters in there.
dude, yeah, that's really updating that.
I hope so. I mean, this is, now again, does this disqualify me from GBWC because I would be using a 3D printed part? Probably.
Hmm. Yeah,
Sorry I
that
didn't scratch build it.
yeah, that'd be interesting to find out because that's a good example of really unique a unique build, you know?
I think so. I mean, and let's be honest, the V8 and the Mercurius don't get any love. Like, you know, how many more like, obviously, there's grunt suits, like, a lot of people do amazing stuff with grunt suits, and I'm still a grunt suit, enjoyer at heart, but, like, people typically go for the big, crazy looking stuff, like, I don't know, like, the Freedom Gundam and all of its wings and all that
Oh,
stuff, like, people typically like that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it, like, ostentatious design?
yeah.
Um this is something that's kind of niche, kind of like, you know.
Yeah, it is, but it's one of those things sometimes that might start niche and then, like, honestly, remember, like, iPhone touchscreens? I think there was a second there where people were like, "Yeah, right. No one's gonna get used to that. That's too crazy."
Oh, dude, I was one of those guys. I was a holdout. I was like, "Ooh, but I love my physical keyboard. I love
Yeah,
hearing the click, 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 click."
exactly, and, like, using whatever the shorthand text, I forget what it was called, but it was, like,
Oh, yeah, the was it
memorized.
T9?
Yeah, it was something like that, and it was just so easy to one I remember doing, like, at the bar, and people would be like, "How fast can we type
Or,
words?"
like, if you're at the movie, like, you if you were at a movie theater, you could, like, text in your pocket and it would be no
Yeah,
big thing because you could
yeah.
feel the buttons, but, like, now, man,
Now you take
nothing.
out your phone and it brightens the whole theater, and then people are
Right,
like,
and then
"Come
you're
on."
just like, "This guy."
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of brightening the theater, you are actually gonna beat me this week to seeing Sonic 3, which I'm super jealous of.
That's right, but I'm glad you brought that up, yeah, because that means the Gundam Explained show yesterday will be or tomorrow, yesterday, will be earlier, because, yeah, seeing Sonic 3, can't wait,
And that's why I brought it up because it was the perfect segue, is like, we're talking about dark movie theaters, you're gonna be in a dark movie
yeah,
theater, and we're letting everybody know that the Gundam Explained show tomorrow is gonna be a little bit early, so
yeah,
be
which is
sure to
nice.
tune in for that, you
Still a
guys.
lot to talk about. Yeah, and if you happen to miss it, then it will be available by the time you would normally watch it, so
Yeah, so
it worked out.
really, we're doing you a favor. I'm not. But no, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed some of this stuff that we're showing off here, and like I said, if yeah, I mean, if you guys have any suggestions and you wanna see, like, the Adam and Steven, like, retro PC build, like, that could be something that we do, as if I
Yeah,
don't have enough projects on my plate, obviously, you know?
yeah, I know.
But yeah, and then definitely let me know in the chat in the comments, like, what you guys think about a special Christmas show. If maybe we should do it
Yeah,
early, maybe we do it late, maybe we do like a New Year's show instead, like something on New Year's Eve. I don't know. Like we'll
yeah,
come up with something to do to finish the year in style, so to speak. Um, but yeah, if you haven't already, definitely go check out. Adam dropped a video earlier today of the VR, like
oh,
the
yeah,
new mode for, Silver Phantom, which was pretty cool, so go
yeah,
check that out. I'm working on a video here for, some Sylanaut, tutorials, so we're trucking along. We'll see if I can get it out by the end of the year. Fingers crossed on
that'd
that.
be cool.
Between everything else that we're doing. But, yeah, we will see you guys tomorrow in the afternoon for the Gundam Explained show. Again, thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight, and hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your week, and if we don't hear from you, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, see y'all.